I have been looking forward to this recording and this conversation all week because I spoke with Meg Reynolds a few weeks ago on her podcast, Not the Girl Next Door. And it was one of those times, like, when you meet somebody and you just instantly click and you're like, oh, we get each other. We've been through similar shit. We have like the same like it was just perfect. So Meg Reynolds, welcome to Seeing Other People.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely validating when you meet somebody else and it's like, oh, I'm not crazy. Like, what happened to me was fucked up. Wait, can I curse on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank God. Like, what happened to me was fucked up. What happened to you was fucked up. Like, people suck, but we're working through it. And there's something so validating in sharing those lived experiences with other people, which, of course, is a big part of what I talk about on Not the Girl Next Door.
100%. And it's like, it's one thing. I mean, so many people go through traumatic shit in their lives, in their relationships, in their dating lives. We took it one step further. And we're like, well, we have to talk about this and we have to warn people and we have to let people know, like, if you're going through it, like, first of all, you're going through it. It is a process, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. And like, I have always been somebody who I find healing in talking. I popped out of the womb a yapper. Like, my grandmother called me 5 o'clock news growing up.
Shut up.
And
I love that.
no, literally, like, my whole family, we thought I was going to be like a news anchor because I just loved to tell stories and all that stuff. That's what I originally went to Syracuse for. And obviously switched majors, but we can dive into that later. But obviously, like, being able to start a podcast, I think, in this day and age of social media has been so healing for me because it's connected me to people. And like, I've made so many amazing friendships who I otherwise wouldn't have met without this platform. And it provided me with so much healing because it validates, one, that I'm not crazy, like my ex loved to say I was. But also, I always say, like, if my pain can help one person navigate theirs, then that's worth it to me. I don't care if an episode gets one listen. If that one person gets what they need from it, I did my job. I'm happy.
100%.
That's kind of what it's really all about. Like, dating is so hard. Life is so hard. Our 20s are so hard. And, we were sold a false promise of our 20s. That's something big that I preach of, like, your 20s are not going to be, like, season 1 of Friends started when they were 26.
Which is, it's crazy because also, like, watching them, even now, I still feel like they're older than me.
Yes, absolutely. And same thing with Sex and the City. Like, they were in their 30s when season 1 started. Like, your life isn't ending because you're turning 30. I think, if anything, like, watching my friends turn 30 have made me realize it's just actually kind of beginning.
100%. 30's been an amazing year. I've felt so myself at 30 and so, like, just in touch with, like, what I want, and I'm less afraid to say no to things that I don't want to do, and I, like, understand myself so much more, and just it feels so much better to live my life like that, and, like, for me, and of course, like, for the people I love, but I'm less focused on making all of these external people and things happy, and I'm more focused on, like, what feels right to me. Even, like, today, I had plans with one of my best friends tonight, and she was like, I'd prefer, like, can we switch to tomorrow? I can still do tonight, but, like, if it were up to me and I could only pick one of the days, I'd really rather do tomorrow. And I'm like, I love you. I have a really busy day Sunday. Today is Friday. I want to do tonight so that I can, like, chill tomorrow because of my busy day on Sunday. And in the past, I would have been like, oh, well, if she wants to do Saturday, of course, like, I'll move it. But, like, I know if I have one busy weekend day, I need the other day to, like, at least be half nothing.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And what was I gonna say? And the thing is too, is like, I'm 26 now, and I swear I have never felt younger than I do in this moment. Like, I feel like I felt older at 23, and like, I look at pictures. Like, obviously, we don't have to get into like weight loss and all, like, body recomp, all that stuff. Like, that, my health journey has been a big part of my podcast healing too, and just healing my hormones and stuff. But I look at photos of myself from 23, and I'm like, there's just no spark in my eyes. Like, there's no light there, and like, there's a multitude of reasons for that, outside of just, I had just gotten out of this really traumatic relationship. But I swear I've never felt younger at 26, and it makes me so hopeful for when I turn 30 and excited for it, because it's like, if this is how I feel now, imagine how far I can go. And like, and this is why I tell people, like, you can be happy and not know yourself. I thought I was happy at 23, and I was for all intents and purposes. I was happy at 23 and 24, but I still didn't know myself. And I'm sure in another 4 or 5 years, I'll be saying the same thing. Like, I've learned so much about myself. And that's what part of what I teach on Not the Girl Next Door is. I just want people to understand that life is going to be a constant journey of learning and growing. And when you can get excited about it, that's the fun part of life, is just figuring things out. Like, you don't need to have all the answers, but if you know something is not right in your life, you know something is not working for you, then you know enough to go try other things.
100%. And speaking of like things not being right, before we get into the dating stuff, I
Mhm.
too switched my major at Syracuse. So I
Mhm.
want to know did you start as broadcast digital
Yeah.
journalism?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went in thinking I was going to do BDJ, which is broadcast digital journalism. Obviously, people don't know the acronyms when they're
I know. I
it's
was
like a
going to say
little
BDJ,
cult.
and I'm like, no, no, no. I have to say the words.
I know. I do tear off all the time and people are like, "Huh?"
Hmm.
I went in doing that, and I was gonna have a minor in poli-sci, and I thought I wanted to be like a political news anchor. No,
Oh my god.
abso-freaking-lutely not. I would get fined for cursing on air or some shit. Like with how much I curse in my podcast. But I switched my freshman year because again, there was just something in me that I was like, I at the time I didn't realize this is what I was thinking because I was just so young, but I realize now, hindsight, I was only doing it because again, people told me I would be good at it. And like it wasn't
Mhm.
actually what I wanted. And my set because I'm very young for my year. And so my 17-year-old self didn't have the words to articulate that thought. I didn't have the words to understand why I was feeling weird. Like I couldn't understand it. But now in hindsight, I was like, no, that was me standing up for myself even then. And I
Mhm.
didn't realize how much that one choice was like going to change my life.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't like, there's so many things, that domino effect, or what is the thing that's trending right now, the butterfly effect. I don't
Oh, the
fully,
butterfly effect,
I don't
yeah.
even, like, I don't know what the difference
So
is.
you're telling me if I didn't, like, switch my major, blah, 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 blah.
No, literally, like, you're telling like, I can look at my college relationship. So you're telling me if I didn't go to this summer party over the summer, I wouldn't have started dating this guy 7 months later. Like,
Yep.
is that a domino effect or is that I don't know. I don't know. Things are weird,
It's
but
life.
it's life. But, yeah, like, changing my major, obviously, TRF, television, radio, and film, was the perfect fit for me, and it's crazy how just there's so much you could do with that major, and
Yeah.
I always love to say it's like, yeah, I actually do think I used my college degree. Most people don't think they do, but I feel like in a way I definitely used that degree, and my career wouldn't be what it is without that degree. So
You're taking the words out of my brain. So I started as a photojournalism major. I wanted to be a photographer,
as I'm
and
now a photographer and videographer.
I wanted to be a photographer, and I also wanted to be like a concert photographer, and I did do that
Literally
for a
what I
bit.
do now.
It's so funny. And I did, and I, like, had the greatest time of my life doing that, but, like, I took my first photo class my freshman year,
Mhm.
and I was like, "You know what? I'm at Newhouse, like, I'm at this, like, incredible program, like, I'm already good at this. I don't need a degree to take pictures."
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to, like, win, uh, I don't even know what type of prize, like,
I mean,
for
all of my friends here who, because obviously, like, it's crazy that now I never even knew tour photography was a career you could do, like, and now
Mhm.
I'm doing it, but pretty much all of my friends, colleagues, whatever you wanna call them, like, none of them have a photo degree, and I'm not
Right.
saying it's not worthwhile for people that do want to pursue that, but I'm completely self-taught. I'm completely
Yeah.
self-taught. I actually, if anything, was technically doing video first because of my major,
Mhm.
and had the basic workings for that, but photo, it's something just I pun intended, clicked in my brain. Um, and it's funny because I don't think I would have that career if I didn't let myself think outside the box of what I wanted my life to be. Like,
Totally.
this is who I am today. If you told my 18-year-old self that I wouldn't be married, I wouldn't be having children and contemplating if I want kids even, that I wouldn't be living in New York still, like everything in my life, she would probably like have a panic attack and like crash out over it. But I say this with such certainty, and it's like one of the things I'm most certain about in my life. It's that the fact that nothing in my 10-year plan happened is the absolute best thing that could have ever happened to me. And that
You and
is,
me
I'm
both.
not sure of a lot of things, but that is one of the few things that I am incredibly certain of.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. And I wonder how many other TRF majors have podcasts.
Yeah.
We should take a
Honestly,
poll.
we should take a
Um,
poll.
but no, I'm same, and I completely agree with what you said of like I actually like things I learned in
Mhm.
college I like use every single day of my life, and it's so crazy. Anyways, a little shout out to Syracuse.
We
Thanks,
love you.
Syracuse.
Miss
Okay.
you.
What is currently happening in your dating life?
Oh, that is a loaded question. Since we spoke on my podcast, which everyone listening should definitely listen to that episode as well because I got a little tough love on my dating profiles. Um, it's still nothing, and it's not even me being like, "Woe is me." I'm at such a point in my life where I have found such peace in myself and my friends that like men aren't competing with other men for me. They're competing with the life that I've built for myself. And I think a lot of women feel like that. Like it's not about other men. You're competing with me. Like, what are you bringing to my life that I'm going to sacrifice some of my peace that I've built because I've worked so hard to do that. And, there's someone that I'm interested in. I don't know if it's very, very early days. So we're talking, we're hanging out, we're vibing. That's pretty much it. But him I met through TikTok, and that's which is like really funny and crazy. But even if he's just going to be a friend, like he's someone I'll definitely value in my life, and I can't say enough kind words about him. It's early days. He's still a man. He could disappoint me. um, but when it comes to dating, I think I'm just so firm in what I want and my preferences and my non-negotiables that I'm not wasting my time going on
Mhm.
dates with people that I know will not be my person. And I'm not saying to people like don't just go on dates and try because absolutely you should, but if you're sitting there and you're having a conversation with this person and it's like pulling teeth and they've already told you things that you're like, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to go make him take me to dinner. You know what I mean? Like I don't need the free meal. I can buy myself dinner. Like that's kind of how
Yeah.
I look at it.
It's tough. It's a double-edged sword because on one hand there are fewer options, but there
Right.
should be fewer options. Like if you know who you are and you have a full life and you know what you want,
Mhm.
not everyone is going to be someone
No.
who could potentially be a possible partner. You
Yes.
know, the barrier to entry is so much higher,
Mhm.
but all you're doing is, like you said, like you're not wasting time on dates that are going to go nowhere. And that can be hard when you're sitting there and you're like, well, I haven't been on a first date in so long, or, I'm not getting any matches, or the matches aren't turning into dates. But it's because you're filtering more intentionally.
Yes. And I definitely still stand that I think dating apps are exhausting, one, but also I think people are too used to people are like, here's my 10 boxes, right? This person in front of me checks 8 of those 10 boxes, but I want that person that's going to check all 10. Unfortunately, that person probably doesn't exist and this is not build a bear. Like you can't do that. If only. If only. But I think also with modern dating, the one positive I will say is I think people are taking it not more seriously, but are more intentional. The ones who have healed are more intentional. We're not
Yeah.
just settling down for the sake of settling down anymore. And like, you don't need to get married anymore. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think people see that as a negative, and we can get into that whole conversation of the decline of traditional values, blah, bite me. But I think it's actually a good thing because I think you're going to have happier marriages, and happier marriages may lead to happier children. Like we're not seeing going to see as much generational trauma hopefully because people are doing the work now. And I feel
Mhm.
like, my generation, are you technically a millennial?
I am very much a millennial.
Okay, yeah. I feel like Gen Z millennials like are committed to doing that
I
work.
I'm a millennial who identifies as a
Gen Z.
Gen
There's
Zennial.
There's, like, a weird pocket, like, I look at
Yeah.
some Gen Zs and I'm like, "Can you go touch grass, please?" Like, what is happening? It's like there's a weird pocket where, like, we almost need, like, our own generation from, like, 25 to 30. It's like it's old,
Yes.
old.
Exactly. That's where that pocket is me. Um, okay. How did you go? Because I would and obviously, like, outside looking in, but just
Mhm.
knowing, how in touch you are with who you are and your emotions and your healing journey, you very much went from, like, barely surviving to thriving. And I
Mhm.
know that this was a journey that took a few years after
Yes.
your traumatic relationship. So I
Yes.
would really like to hear what happened and how did you get through this?
Oh god. I mean, and here's the thing I will say about that. While him and I haven't dated, I haven't even seen him in 3 years. I only fully blocked him out of my life and have not spoken to him in a year.
Wow.
There was that period of like 2 years, every couple of months he'd reach out. I would reach out, like, because I felt like he was the only person who could understand things I was dealing with my family. Like, we very much also trauma bonded.
Mhm.
And that made it I felt such guilt abandoning him and leaving. I felt so guilty, like I was giving up on him, and like if I just I felt like if I just loved him a little harder, if I was a little bit better, like he would fix things, he would fix himself. And like this is literally my daddy issues coming out. Like my therapist and I talked about it. It was because I couldn't fix my dad. I was trying to fix my boyfriend. And it's taken me these 3 years to really unpack a lot of the life trauma that I had been through that led me to that relationship. And something I want to say to women too out there who are in a situation like that, like, again, my ex never hit me. A fact he loved to remind me of, by the way. Like, would love to say to me, "You need to quit acting like I was such a bad guy. It's not like I ever hit you." And you know who else has said that to me? My own father. "You don't know what abuse is. I've never hit you." And the fact that 2 men in my life who are supposed to protect, love, and cherish me have said that, of course that's gonna cause some damage and make me have a distrust of men and make me hesitant in dating. But what that's also done has taught me how to spot those red flag behaviors, how to spot the men that are gonna try and tear me down and take me to lows that I didn't even think I could reach. So all that to say, like, while yes, I am healed, I don't want people to think that I never get heartbroken and upset about this situation again, because it does weigh on me sometimes. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, that really happened. I really let myself get treated like that. Was it really that bad? No, it was. And like, just it's hard to imagine the person I am today going through those things again, but it happened and it's a part of my life. And he so this is like a big piece. This is like the moment I kind of finally realized that he didn't see me as human. So when I this is incredible, important, not incredible. This is important backstory for this story. Trigger warning here. When I was 16, my boyfriend sexually assaulted me in my bedroom. And of course, that is going to change you as well. I was 16 years old and it took me a long time to realize what had happened. So of course, whenever I date somebody, I'd share that with them because it's sometimes I still get triggered. It happens. My ex thought it would be funny to joke that he had sex with me while I was asleep. And
Jeez.
I trauma blocked that out. I don't even remember it. It was like one morning when we woke up, and the moment I finally blocked him, we were on the phone last year. He was wanting some help with social media and I was just like, "I'm not working for you for free. I don't want to work with you, like, but I want to see you succeed. Like, I'll whatever." So we were talking through his social media and all of a sudden he just, typical, "It's just a joke, whatever." And I said, "If this is how this conversation is going to go, you got the information you needed. Like, I'm going to hang up now." That launches into I can never take a joke. And I said, "Please give me an example of how I can't take a joke."
Oh my god.
And that is what he chose to brought up. And he was like, I know it sounds crazy even coming out of my mouth, but I said to him, I was like, "And you seriously thought that I would find that funny?" He was like, "Well, I thought you would like get a little upset, but I didn't think you'd scream and cry about it." I'm like, and I literally said to him, I was like, "My pain aside, what I've been through aside, what you are joking about is a literal felony. That's called rape. Like,
Mhm.
you are joking about raping your girlfriend who you claim to love. That is not normal. That is not okay. Like, there is no world in which that is just a joke." And this is one of the things I look for in dating now is men who love to say it's just a joke, it's just a joke, and don't understand the gravity of the
Yeah.
jokes that they make, or like they make excuses for their buddies. Like, I very much too will look at it who a guy surrounds himself with, because I firmly believe we are who we surround ourselves with and it's a reflection of who we are. And so if I see a guy who I'm talking to and his friends are being like just basically animals, it makes me wonder, well, how are you when I'm not around? What do you say about me when I'm not around?
And how are
Like,
you, like, okay with that behavior from
right,
them? Yeah.
right, exactly. And so that, like, I don't want people to sit there and think like I just got out of this relationship and I'm 100% okay. Like, that very much changed how I view men. It changed how I view love. But I think what I always say is if it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be somebody else because of wounds I had never dealt with and the way I felt about myself and just, daddy issues and like all these other things. And like, it's just, it's hard, but at the same time, I always say, like, I will never let myself be treated like that again, and I'm almost thankful that it happened at such a young age because it gave me such clarity in my love life and just in life in general of what is okay and what's not.
Yeah. I'm so sorry you had to go through all that, and thank you for
It made
sharing
me really
so
fucking funny.
open. Well, I mean, sitting here, like, talking to you, I can't imagine you putting up with shit from anyone,
That's
but
what and the
obviously,
thing
like
is, I couldn't have imagined it either. Like, the
yeah.
person who I was when I moved down to Nashville, like, if I would have said, I would never let a man treat me like that. Like, I've got it. I would never let a man walk all over me like that. No, I became a fucking doormat.
Mhm.
And I don't want people to think that just because you know yourself and think you know yourself means you're not, capable of letting yourself,
Capable.
yeah, letting yourself be treated like that. Like, I think the real test comes when people like that come into our life. Do we have the strength to trust ourselves and stand our ground and set up our boundaries? Do we have that
Mhm.
love for ourselves to say this is not okay? Do we have the understanding that, okay, if I put this boundary in place and I lose this person, I'm going to be just fine? Or are we going to self-abandon and self-sacrifice because we're so worried about losing this person? But in reality, if they really loved us, they wouldn't harm us that way. Love should not hurt that way. Love is difficult, yes, and relationships are hard work, but love should not cause you physical harm. Love should not cause you emotional and mental turmoil on a daily basis. Like, if you find yourself sitting there saying, "Oh, we didn't fight this week." That is a red fucking flag. "Oh, we haven't
Mhm.
fought in a while." Mm, that's not okay. Like,
It's allowed to be hard, but it shouldn't be hard in that way.
yes. I think people and this is why, again, I have issues with the quote unquote traditional values because it teaches women to sit down, shut up, and, just relationships or work. You don't leave your partner. No, you
Right.
absolutely should leave your partner if they are hurting you in whatever way it
Mhm.
is. It does, like, and this is part of why, like, with obviously, we talked a little bit about I'm writing my first novel, and it's a story that's incredibly personal to me. And it's all about how abuse isn't always physical. Like, what does an abusive relationship look like when there is no physical harm involved, and just that turmoil? And it's all about, how do you find yourself, and how, even if we're in a relationship where seemingly is nothing is wrong, it
Mhm.
may not be the right relationship too. That's something else I talk about a lot. Like, just because they're the perfect person doesn't mean they're the perfect person for you.
Right. I think there's so much to be said about self-worth, and like you said, like, if it wasn't him, it would have been someone else, and
Mhm.
that's not to say someone else would have sexually assaulted you,
Yeah.
but someone else could have taken
Just,
advantage of you and walked all over you and
yes.
made you feel like the smallest version of yourself.
And like wanted me to tone myself down, or, I always, something big in my past relationships, not just the last one, but even my college relationship, I always felt like I was in competition with my partner, even though I shouldn't have been. Like, they couldn't just, like, if I was successful and they like didn't have the success to also celebrate, like, it was kind of an issue. And I think, again, a lot of women also feel like that. And it's like, I can't enjoy being a successful, independent woman in whatever industry it is because maybe my man isn't having that same success. And it's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your, I don't, like, I'm going to absolutely push my partner and I want them to be the best version of themselves. But I think that's part of one of my preferences in a relationship is I need somebody who's as equally as ambitious as I am so that we can push and motivate each other.
Mhm.
And that's something I've always tried to do, but, it's kind of hard out there.
Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
How did you go about working on your self-worth
Yeah.
so that you, again, like, would attract the right types of people for you.
Mhm. I mean, of course, I always say therapy. I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where, of course, I could afford it. Not everyone is lucky. And also, I want to say, people, if they're thinking of going to therapy, your first therapist may not necessarily be the therapist that works for you. Like, I've had 4 different therapists in my life, and my current therapist is the one that I feel like I've made the most progress, and she's understood me. Um, Therapy, it's almost kind of like dating. Like, you kind of got to shop around a little bit and find a therapist that you connect with in
Yeah.
however way you need.
You can
So
also outgrow a therapist. Like, a
yes.
therapist might be amazing for a chapter, and
Mhm.
then you might need something different, just like a relationship.
Right, or they're not versed in whatever it is you're dealing with, like,
Yeah.
when I need to talk about, like, business things, it's not necessarily like, I've gone to other therapists too because they're more versed in those areas of life. So that's therapy, I attribute the number one thing, but weirdly enough, when I started getting in touch with my younger self too, that kind of helped me ground myself a little bit of, well, what did she want? What did she like to do? What were her dreams? And finding things that was I was able to enjoy just for myself and I didn't need the voice and validation of others. That really helped me kind of build my confidence back up. And just it sounds silly, but little things like just taking care of yourself. Like I've never seen better progress in my fitness journey than when I was going to the gym, not to change my body, but to just heal my mind.
Mhm.
And, it's just little things like that. I think people underestimate the value of taking time for oneself, even if it's just a 30-minute walk in the morning or 10 minutes to do your skincare. Like, there is such a value in those small little things we do for ourselves on a daily basis to build your confidence back up. Something else I would say is my therapist, and I talked about this actually a couple weeks ago on the podcast. I did a whole episode on heartbreak, and writing down lists weirdly is something that kind of helped. I'm a very visual person. And so I wrote 3 lists. One list was everything that was wrong with the relationship. And it kind of forced me to be like, when I would sit there and romanticize our relationship, it forced me to go back to it and be like, actually, babe, this is what it was really like. And that list was long as hell. And you have to make it long as hell, even the dumbest things.
Mhm.
The next thing I wrote down is like all of the things that I learned about myself, the ways that I could have shown up better in the relationship, because I think that's a big piece of healing is we have to take accountability for our own actions. And I think that's why a lot of people don't find themselves and don't heal because they miss that step. And it's really hard to do. It's really uncomfortable to do and sit there and be like, what were the ways I could have shown up better? So writing that down, writing down everything that I would want in a partner, what I learned I like, what I don't, all that. And then the third thing I wrote down was just like, what do I need to do for me? Like, what are the things I want to get back to? What are hopes that I have? Like, just all these little things that I felt like I couldn't do while I was in that relationship in order to kind of connect with myself better. And when I started working on myself, that's when I found the friendships that I'd always craved in my life. And I've found such a love, not even just in my girlfriends, but in my friends in general, that it also amplifies me and lifts me up of like, well, if this is how my friends see me and how much my friends love me, like a partner should absolutely love me even more than this.
Mhm.
Um, and so just healing myself healed me in all aspects of my life, not just romantic. And again, I don't want people to think I'm perfect and think I'm trying to say like I never have bad days, because there's absolutely days that I still have anxiety, or I'm dealing with some family shit right now and like that weighs on me heavy, but it doesn't matter what you're going through. It's how you pick yourself back up after you go through it. After you have that really good cry that you just sometimes need, how are you
Mhm.
showing up for yourself after that moment is what is going to make the difference in your life as well.
Without a doubt. What was the most frustrating part of your healing journey? Because I know, like, it's so when we talk about it, it's like, here are things I did that helped, and yeah, there were some hard moments, but, like,
Mhm.
it kind of is like a 10,000-foot view, and for people going through it, it's helpful to be reminded, like, "This shit is hard.
Yeah.
It
I
is
mean,
hard."
I would say I'm still on a healing journey, right? I think for the rest of my life, I'll be on a healing journey because more things are going to happen. And I will never forget, I had at the end of last year, like a panic attack, and I hadn't had a panic attack in a long time. And I remember crying on the phone to a friend, just being like, I'm just so tired of going through things. I'm just so tired of dealing with things. Like, I am just exhausted. But what I realized afterwards is like, that's just fucking life. Like, life is going to keep throwing things at me. Life is gonna hey, it may even be harder than the things I've already dealt with, but at the end of the day, what matters is how I show up for myself afterwards. And I think that's what's frustrating about healing is we think that, "Okay, I'm gonna do this work on myself, and the rest of my life is gonna be sunshine and unicorns, and I'm just gonna be happy." And it's unfortunately not. And healing, I think a lot of times people it's like you need to ask yourself why you're doing it. And I think sometimes people think it's going to be, okay, I'm going to heal so I can get the guy. I'm going to heal so I can get that dream job or build this business. Like they're healing for something external instead of for themselves. And
Yeah.
for a while I was feeling frustrated with it because I was like, why do I just not feel okay? Like I wanted so badly to just feel fine, and it felt like it was just never ending. But what I realized is I found a joy in learning to heal because it's allowing me to connect with myself. And I think that's a frustration that everyone goes through in their healing journey.
Yeah. Did you date throughout this? And I
Yeah.
know it's like you'll always be healing. What healing is a lifelong
Oh,
journey.
yeah.
But yeah.
I've been date like, I think the longest I went so after I got out of my relationship, I definitely dove way too quickly into dating because, again, I needed that validation. And then
Mhm.
finally, I wanna say I took a period of, like, 10 months or so, almost it was almost a year of, like, no dating, no hooking up, like, didn't even not even a smooch with anybody. And I think that was also one of the best things I did for myself because it forced me to reconcile that, hey, sometimes you hook up with boys that you don't actually wanna hook up with, you just need the validation, and that's okay. We've all been there, we've all made that mistake. But there is definitely like looking back on my dating history, there were definitely a lot of guys who I stayed too long because I just wanted it to work, or
Yeah.
I gave them one too many chances, or I just content I literally remember I was seeing somebody last year and I actually he's the one that dumped me the day after I got laid off. That was really fun.
Oof.
Uh,
Kick you when you're down.
no, literally talk about kicking me while I'm down. But I remember saying to my friends, like, yeah, like I'm still unsure of him. And this is like month 4 we're seeing each other. I was like, I'm still unsure of him, but like, you know, I'm gonna keep there's nothing wrong here. Like I'm gonna keep going. And that was even just last year. Like, and I may even make that mistake again in the future, but I don't want to don't I don't wanna be hard on myself about it because, like, that's just what dating is. Like, you fuck up, you make mistakes, but you also you can have fun with it and just, like, try dating people that you wouldn't have otherwise thought you'd be interested in. Like, it should just be a time of fun and you figuring out what you like and you don't like. It doesn't have to be so, like, dramatic.
Right. How have you learned to trust then
Yeah.
after everything you've been through?
It's funny because I the guy I was talking about earlier, like, we were having this conversation the other day, he was just like, it really gives me hope seeing somebody who's been through such shit like I have, and you still, like, have light in you. And that's something that people tell me all the time is they're like, "I never would have guessed all the shit that you've been through because you're so happy and positive." And I've always been like that, right? Like growing up, I was Little Miss Sunshine. And it used to be I was Little Miss Sunshine because I was trying to hide my feelings and I was trying to hide how sad I was inside. But now it's just because it's like I honestly feel a pride in the things that I've been through because I came out on the other side of it. And I think when it comes to trust, they say trust is earned. I I truly believe that, and I try to not wear my wounds anymore because I think, it would be so easy to go into every relationship being like, "Well, this guy hurt me, so this guy's clearly gonna hurt me too," and, "Well, my ex did this, so I can't trust you," and it's not fair to place that expectation on people, obviously proceed with caution, you don't wanna just dive in and give them everything, but, you know, until until you're basically shown red flags, like, just be optimistic and, like, open up at your own pace and trust your instincts is kind of and that's such, like, a woo-woo answer and not like, a non-answer, I guess, but trust is one of those things that I think people don't realize they're wearing their wounds on their chest, and I think that if I were to proceed into a relationship being like, I don't know if I can trust them," then I don't think I'm healed enough to date. You know what I mean? Like, if you feel like in every situation you're like, "I can't trust this person," I think that's a sign you probably shouldn't be dating.
Yeah. I also think there's something to be said about trusting yourself first.
Mhm.
Like, if you can trust that you will walk away from situations that are not serving you or that are triggering you, then you can trust that, you've come a long way, and you can trust the decisions you're making, and the people you're giving your time and energy to. If you don't trust your decision making skills, then maybe you're not ready to put yourself in that situation yet, like you said.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, and for a long time, I shouldn't have been dating because I was still just like, "Well, it can't get much worse than can't get much worse than what I've already been through, so, like, he's gotta be out there," and yeah, dating, it's funny, like, I have always been somebody who I would classify myself as such a hopeless romantic, and I still am, and I crave love so deeply, and I'm not ashamed to admit that, like, I love love. I always have, I always will, and through everything that I've been through, it would be so easy for me to be like, "Love's not real. Love's not real. Everyone
Mhm.
sucks. Like, I'm gonna die alone. I'm gonna have a million dogs," but, like, I've seen that, but I also have seen real love, and I've seen what it is and what it isn't, and it's not the tumultuous rom-coms of the 2000s. It's not my parents' marriage who got then they got a nasty ass divorce. Like, it's none of those things. Like, but I've seen it in not just my friends' relationships with their partners, but I've seen it in the love that they've given me. And so I think people also underestimate how we do need different forms of love in our life other than just romantic as well.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. Like, one thing I struggled with was, like, similar to you, like needing that validation from a guy, but I had such, like, so many loving friends who saw so much in me and were my biggest cheerleaders, and like I didn't give enough credit to that. Like, my parents, my brothers, like, so supportive and loving, and like I'm so lucky to have that. But in my mind it was like, well, I don't have a boyfriend, so like nobody wants me, and
Right.
I clearly suck if, other people, like, I would compare myself to like people I grew up with or went to college with who like objectively like sucked, and by sucked I mean like they were not nice, like they were in fact like really mean and like bad people in my mind, and I'm like, how can Amanda get a boyfriend and I
Mhm.
can't? Like,
Oh, some
am
of
I
the
really
worst
like
people I know are, like, in the best seemingly best relationships, but again, social media is a highlight reel.
Mhm.
Like, I always say there's, like, good people can do bad things just like bad people can do good things,
Yeah.
and, we are a different person to everybody we appear. Like, those shitty people may their partner may have changed them for the best, and I've
Yeah.
seen that in one of my best friends. We had been friends since freshman year. We didn't speak for 2 years, and I attribute a lot of her growth and our being able to reconcile and come together because of her boyfriend,
Wow.
because he, like, would put her in her place and call her on her shit, and he gave her the safe place to finally heal her own wounds that she had never dealt with, and our friendship has never been better. Like, we have never had a more healthy friendship than we do as adults,
That's awesome.
and we've talked about this so much, and I attribute that a lot to her relationship, and I truly believe the right partner will absolutely make you the best version of yourself, and they will help you maybe even see some of your past mistakes,
Yeah.
um, and because again, I think your partner sometimes almost is like a mirror. It's like they're the one person that, just like your friends, you're not always going to be able to run from, but like your partner who you see on a daily basis, you're not going to be able to run from them and hide from them. Like,
Right.
you can't do it.
They listen and they don't judge. And someone else's relationship status has nothing to do with you. Like,
Absolutely not.
all
And
of the
that's
Amandas, and again, Amanda's an arbitrary name, guys, don't worry. I have no hate towards any Amandas in my life. There are actually very few. But, like, it had nothing to do, like, with me, but I internalized it as like, well, I'm
so
less
much.
than. Yeah.
Right, and, like, I've even done that too where, like, a friend of mine, she was a serial dater for a while, and I remember I would constantly feel like, "Oh my god, she's got, like, a date every week, like, I must not be
Yeah.
attractive," and it's like, actually, she's healed now, and she's like, yeah, I didn't like any of those guys, and that was just because I needed the attention and validation," and, like, don't get me wrong, I love throwing up a good Instagram story where I look good and feel good and seeing some guys slide in my DMs. It feels good. I'm
Yep.
not gonna lie, we all do it, but, like, half those guys, I don't wanna hook up with them. I don't wanna date them. Like, it's just reconciling that piece of life. Like, just because somebody shows you interest does not mean you have to return the favor.
Mhm.
And something else too, I remember I would always get frustrated with, and is like I would have so many of my guy friends are like, "Meg, you're such a great girl. How are you still single? Blah 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 blah." It's like, okay, well, why don't you want to date me then? But it's like, I don't
Yeah.
wanna date
Oh
you
my
either, like,
god.
we're just homies, like, but it's so true, it's like, and it's when you heal those wounds, you just realize, like, how silly that is, like, some of my guy friends are the most wonderful men, we would never work in a relationship. Never, ever,
Mhm.
ever, ever in a million years, and it's just like, I that's why I also firmly believe everyone should have platonic friends of the opposite sex, like, I think it's healthy and important, but of course with boundaries when you're in a relationship, right? Like, boundaries are healthy and normal, but yeah, it's just crazy what healing does and, like, when the way it opens your eyes.
Without a doubt. I keep saying without a doubt. Am I okay? I feel like
I mean,
part
I
of
say
me
during my podcast, I always be like, "No, for sure. No, for sure,"
like,
or like,
oh, yes, I do that too, and I learned that I say
"Oh my god, the
all
you
the
know."
time.
And
It's not like it's and today it's been 100% absolutely and without a doubt, and I'm going to blame it on I'm doing this, like, fitness like evaluation thing in an hour and they told me I can't have caffeine before. So like I didn't have coffee this morning and I'm like holding back yawns and I'm like I'm so interested. I don't want to be yawning on video right now. Anywho, without a doubt. Okay. I have a bunch of listener questions that I pulled because a lot
yeah,
of people have been in toxic relationships,
shocker.
situationships, have gone through healing. We definitely can't get to all of them. Pick a number 1 through 5.
2.
Okay. I got out of a toxic situationship a year ago, and while I've been in therapy and doing a lot of work, I still find myself doubting my worth and replaying old conversations in my head, especially the ones where I was gaslit or made to feel like the crazy one. I know I'm not supposed to seek closure from the other person, but how do I give it to myself when the breakup left me feeling confused and ashamed? I keep wondering if I missed something or if it was my fault.
Yeah, been there. Been there. And like, here's the thing about gaslighting, like it will absolutely haunt you for years. And I'm proof of that. Like the gaslighting I experienced in that relationship absolutely bled into other friendships. And when it comes to the shame and doubt, it sounds like to me this person just needs to forgive themselves. Like it sounds like they haven't forgiven themselves for being in that relationship. And obviously, without knowing more details, like I don't know how long the relationship was or whatever, but it sounds like to me like there's still a disconnect with oneself a little bit, and that to that I say, like, write a letter. It sounds really cheesy, but, like, everything that you would wanna say to this person, just write it down and write a letter and, like, really evaluate, like, what it is you feel like you would need to hear. Because I think a lot of the times when we're seeking closure, we don't actually know what it is we need to hear to give us that closure. And, that's it's hard because closure is something that a lot of the times, even if you seemingly get it, you're even feeling worse afterwards. And I would also suggest to this person, I don't know if they do this, but like, are they no contact with them? Like, do they still follow them on social media? Do they still see their things? Like, are they in the same friend group? Like, is it
Mhm.
truly out of sight, out of mind? Because I think for me, part of what delayed my healing for the longest time was continuing that cycle. I was continuing my own heartbreak by letting him back in, hoping things would be different in some regard. And so those are like, I think the two biggest things is really having a conversation with yourself and forgiving yourself for allowing yourself to be treated like that.
Mhm. I also think maybe even write the letter that you would want to get from them
Yeah,
with everything that you would need to hear them say in order for
exactly.
you to be able to forgive yourself. Like
Exactly.
because they will never say these things. It's not going to
No,
happen, but what exactly do you need to hear to be able to let go? I think that could be a really cool
exactly.
exercise too.
The thing about closure is that closure is going to require accountability. And a lot of the times, of course, the people that treated us like this, they're never going to take accountability for their
Right.
actions. And so we're kind of just, we're kind of stuck. We're stuck wearing that wound of
Yeah.
whatever it is that they went through that caused them to be that person.
Mhm.
And so it's really, it sucks because there is no one right answer. There's no one right answer of how to navigate a breakup. There's no one right way to heal. It's just, you have to get in tune with yourself again and listen to yourself again and learn to trust you. This is going to be the most important relationship. So do what you need to do to heal that relationship. Even apologize to yourself. Write an apology
Yeah.
letter to yourself too. Like, I'm sorry I put you through this. I'm sorry I stayed, like, and work on that relationship. It sounds silly and cheesy, but like I swear nothing writing my thoughts down has been so therapeutic and healing for me.
It makes such a difference. And Yes, no contact. I mean, I was blocked, and while I was like, "What in the actual hell?" It was the greatest thing. It was the nicest thing this person could have ever done to me,
Yes.
is block me. I think
Yes.
I'm still blocked to this day. That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, mine is still blocked to this day.
But, like, it felt like the worst possible thing they could have done. It was the biggest gift they could have ever given me.
Yeah,
No contact. Okay, let's do
period.
one more. Da-da-da-da. Pick another number. Not 2. We
Same
got
thing.
1, 3, 4, 5.
Let's go with 5.
Okay, 5. I was in a long-term relationship where I constantly felt like I had to shrink myself to make him feel comfortable. I downplayed my
Okay.
dreams, I didn't speak my opinions, and I stopped being funny, and I'm pretty funny, so that was unfortunate, just to keep the peace. Now that I'm single, I'm really struggling to figure out who I am without that dynamic. How can I start reconnecting with my identity and figure out who I even am today after feeling like I lost it in a relationship?
Ooh, I love this question because I literally had to do this work. I always tell everybody, if you feel you're feeling lost, look to your childhood self. Look to what it is that what were your hobbies as a kid? Like for me, it was reading, writing, art, like, and when I started doing those things again and connecting with my younger self again, oh my god, it transformed who I am. And so to that person, I would say, like, look at what it is, and I think the answer is right in front of this person. They're literally saying, like, "I'm pretty funny and, like, I lost that
Yeah.
ability." Like, they know. They're knowing, and so it's I would also beg the question, why do you feel like you can't be funny now? Like, are there other people in your life? Like, are there friendships that you feel like you have to tame yourself down? Like, is this a pattern in your relationships, or was it just
Mhm.
this one? Like, really sit and examine just the scope outside of the relationship. Because when I went back to therapy, I thought I was just going to therapy to heal from my ex. I was actually going to heal from a lot of other shit that
Mhm.
caused me to be the person I was in that relationship. And even going back to my college relationship, it was the same thing. Like, I would tone myself down and not show up for myself in ways that I needed to because I just wanted this person to stay.
Yeah.
And so really it always comes back to getting to know ourselves again and doing that inner child healing, and where, like, trying to figure out, where's this wound coming from? Like, why did you feel the need to dull yourself down for this other person? Obviously, yes, they made you feel like you needed to do it, but why did you allow them? Like, where's that wound coming from? Where's the, I guess, the hole in the sinking ship? I don't know, whatever analogy you want to use.
I feel like this person should, like, do something really scary and go sign up for an improv class. Like, go
Yeah.
throw yourself in with new people who know nothing. They don't know about this breakup. You don't
Mhm.
need to mention it to them. You don't need to, like, say you're going through a hard time and that's why you're here. Just go be with new people where you are in an environment where you're forced to, like, be creative, let loose, go with the flow, be funny. Like, I feel like something like that, or like taking like doing like a stand-up comedy
Right.
thing, put yourself in new environments where
Mhm.
nobody knows you. You can be whoever you wanna be, and, like, through that, you'll figure that out,
Yeah.
and you'll get to have fun and meet new people.
Exactly, and, like, you know, allowing yourself the room to try new things and chase dreams that you've had is so freeing. Like, I think a lot of the times people don't realize, like, you're the only person holding yourself back. Like, yes, there's a lot of outside noise and all of that stuff, but, like, at the end of the day, you're the one who's allowing that outside noise to control and dictate your life. And
Yeah.
so absolutely, like, they need to push themselves, and it sounds like they're almost craving something new in a way too, and it doesn't have to be in a romantic way. Like, finding something for just for oneself that you don't need validation for, that you don't do it for anything other than yourself, is so healing and freeing. I literally just had this conversation with a friend of mine last night. She called me and she was like, I didn't know who to turn to. I just knew you would get it. Like, I have been feeling so, like, on edge, burnt out. I don't know what it is. I was like, it literally just sounds like you need something for you. You give so much
Yeah.
to other people and you don't give enough to yourself. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from this person, is they're still in a way looking for validation from others that they're funny or that they are smart, whatever it is. Like, do things for you. Just do it for you. I don't care if you, like, write a million jokes and even if no one ever hears them, you did it for you. That's what matters.
I love that so much. This was so fun. This has been amazing. You are incredible, and I so appreciate you sharing, your story and everything you've learned and how much you've grown and how far you've come. It is such an inspiration to people going through it. Like, I wish I had you to listen to and look up to and learn from when I
Thank
was
you.
deep in the trenches. So thank you for just being you and putting yourself out there in the way that you are. One last thing to do here, and that is, what is the best piece of dating or relationship advice you have ever received or have to give?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think it would probably be from my therapist. She kind of gave me, obviously people talk about the 3-month rule or whatever. She kind of reaffirmed that for me of like, get to know somebody 90 days. Like if you meet someone in the wild, like we talked about, or without a romantic intention already. She was like, get to know them for 90 days before you would even consider them as a romantic partner. She was like, after 90 days, and like this can go for friendships too, like after 90 days, that's kind of when the mask starts to slip from people and their true colors are revealed. And I think that's why people always say the 3-month rule, because it's like, well, they stopped just being who they wanted you to see and they started being themselves. And so I think that is something that's really changed my perspective. And I will say too, this isn't necessarily just dating advice, but it's a perspective that has greatly helped me in my life. I always say, like, life is full of shades of gray, but there is one thing that is black and white in life. And that's when we meet somebody, they're going to either be in our lives until the day that we die, or at some point, we're going to have the last conversation with them and we don't even know it, maybe.
Whoa.
And that has made me, it's scary. And when you put it like in terms like that, you kind of sit there and go, whoa. But looking at all relationships in that way has allowed me to move on easier and allowed me to be less anxious in friendships and dating, because I recognize that just because something's meant to be doesn't mean it's meant to last. And allowing people to just come into your life for the season that they need to be in it and then setting them free, like, is great, because you don't have to
Mhm.
hate people when they leave our lives. I think that's, you don't have to hold on to that kind of anger for, even if it's just like, oh, we just fizzled. Cool, great. You can
It's
still think
okay.
highly of somebody. Like,
Yeah.
thinking there's not a lot of black and whites in life, but that is one thing that is black and white.
That's crazy. I'm gonna be thinking about that, like, all day today, like,
I think I
all
just like sent you
weekend.
into like an existential crisis.
No, like, I love that. I love that so much. Meg, thank you for being here. Where can everybody find you? Where can they listen to the pod?
Yes. So the podcast is on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. It's just Not the Girl Next Door podcast. That's the same thing on Instagram, Not the Girl Next Door podcast. All my other accounts are linked there. And then on TikTok, it's just my personal account, Meg Reynolds 21. You can find me doing all the same shenanigans over there. And yeah, I hope you guys will check out my podcast. Feel free to listen and write me if you have other things that you need to hear about, if you've been through similar experiences. Like, I always love hearing people's stories and like, giving them that community of like, hey, you're not alone and like you're not crazy. And
Mhm.
if I can heal, anybody can fucking heal. Like, seriously.
You can say that again. Also, guys, if you watch Tell Me Lies, go find Meg's, like, recap and analysis of it.
Dude,
Like, oh,
I'm
so good.
I'm
So
salivating
good.
for season 3. Like,
No,
I need
need
it
it.
like yesterday, because I literally did a whole deep dive breaking down, like, not just Tell Me Lies, but talking about how the It Ends With Us movie, like, that's what it thought it was doing, was being Tell Me
Mhm.
Lies. And I'm like, girl, you're messy.
I,
Uh
I think the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life is you being like, if someone's listening to this or watching the show and they're like, I don't get it, then you've clearly never been hurt by like a medium ugly man.
I stand on that statement. Like, if you do not get why Lucy kept going back to Steven, you have never been with a man who looks like the rat from Flushed Away, okay?
Facts.
Like, the funny thing is he's so hot in real life. Like, he's so hot.
That's
And
so funny. It's so funny.
I will
Ugh,
die on that hill.
dead. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. Go check out Not the Girl Next Door. Go follow Meg, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.